hearing from the crowds that you're as tough as Woodpecker.
Apologising for kicking a drop goal.
Jorgensen, Max Jorgensen, no, he didn't. Oh my goodness me! Rush there, Rush! He's got the record. Tom Wright, just too good. This is ecstasy for Wallabies fans.
Billy Pollard, thanks for jumping on today, mate. I'm really keen to deep dive a bit of front row craft with you because it's not an area that a lot of people actually know any idea about, whether they're sitting on the couch or at the front bar. Mate, firstly, how did you even end up as a hooker after coming across as a league junior?
Well, I always played union, as I said, probably like under 11s to under 16s, but then I got the chance to go to Barker College. And then through there, there was a injury at hooker the first, and then they said, I really want you to give it a crack. And I was pretty reluctant to give it a go because, I was playing, I think I was 6 at the time, but like most sixes, I probably got a bit too short and too fat. So I had to transition to hooker, and that's how it came about. And never something that I really considered, but kind of just happened, I suppose.
It's unreal. And look, it's come up really well for you, so I won't knock it. But what sort of stuff happens at scrum time? So let's talk a bit of bread and butter. Like, how do you prepare your body for the scrum? Because it's like getting hit by a car from the outset. So what are you kind of doing physically to prepare for that kind of scenario?
Well, it's something that takes so long to develop. I suppose when I first came down here at Brumbies, it was a huge shock. As I said, I don't think I won a scrum for the first 3 or 4 years. That's not even an exaggeration. Like, I was just getting absolutely folded at every scrum. So it's something that just takes so much time, and your body becomes more and more used to it, I suppose. It's still obviously extremely tough anytime you're in the scrum, but it's probably not a huge shock is what usually is as you have more experience under your belt. So I suppose obviously gym and all that stuff helps, but a lot of it comes down to your technical aspect, and if you can nail that, then it goes a long way.
So let's talk a bit about tech then. So what key things are you thinking from the outset? Like, what are you doing in your stance and your bind? What makes a good setup for you at scrum time?
Well, the main thing is just balance. I suppose everyone's very different and it comes down to the individual, but sorry, Charlie Cale actually will just show him over there. He's just
it comes to balance. That bloke's got no fucking balance.
The main thing is balance, I suppose. Don't listen to Charlie, he's got no clue. But and that's, as I said, so much about scrums is so individual for everyone. You want to stick to the same principle, and everyone's working together in your system. But with that, everyone's going to be a bit different. So the main thing is, for me as a hooker, just making sure I feel a lot of balance around the scrum. There's no moving on the setup or on the bind or unnecessary movement. And just then from there, nailing the height. And then that just sets you up for a good scrum. But if you miss the setup and you're not balanced and you're not in a good position, then regardless of what you do, how strong you are, it's always going to be pretty hard to get it out of that.
So what's working around the rake now? Because like we see feeds are pretty well angled. So has the rake kind of gone past it now and you're more focused on the impact in that first drive?
No, it's something that's still extremely important. Because I remember Mike Cron, when we first went into Wallabies, he's someone that's so huge on it because it's so important. If you stuff up your strike, then it just completely affects the whole side of the scrum. So if you strike it and your shoulder comes up, then it just opens the tight end to get through. Likewise, if the timing's off. There was actually a game for Brumbies last year where the strike hit, I think it was second row of the flanker's knee, and it went back, and then the fourth got the ball. They pretty much went length of the field and won the game. So it's something that's really important, and there's so many other scenarios like that have happened, and it's something that you just need to practice with your nines constantly. You can do that on the goalpost or on a scrum sled with a loose head, but it's probably not as directly down the middle as it was 20 years ago, but it's something that's still extremely important.
That sort of practice and repetition side's interesting because such a big part of hooking as well is the line out throw. So like how many throws are you making a week at training, and what does your prep look like before you even start doing that set piece training as a unit?
Yeah, it's something that I've really tried to work on, I suppose, particularly the last few years. I I can remember I've always done heaps of reps, but it's just more so about doing little drills specific to throwing. That goes a long way. So that might help you spiral or keeping your chest tall, just minimizing movement throughout your lower half of your body and top half too, sorry. But just minimizing movement. So there's so many little drills. And once again, that's very individual with what you think works for you, your throwing style and your technique. But yeah, it's something that you need to do prior to even practice those or prior to a unit session. So that can be weighted balls too. And then just practice that. I suppose just makes the ball feel way lighter when you actually get it, and then you can get a lot more revs on it and more speed coming out. So yeah, that's just a little.
No, it's cool. And like, it's stuff that we don't hear about usually. So that's why I'm keen to sort of tap into it. So you say like, there's not a lot of core, you're trying to keep upper and lower still. So it's literally just to like an extension arms back. Cause you see a lot of juniors, like I know, coaching like under sort of 15s and 14s. I've got kids sort of flinging their whole body into the thing to try and get it across. And I'm guessing that's probably a no-no.
Yeah, it is, but it's something that's very hard to do. Like I do that in the game and I'm trying not to. And, but yeah, it's tough, particularly under fatigue. Like I said, sometimes just go back to bad habits when, yeah, as I said, you're rocking your body, and ideally you don't do that. There's some guys, Lachie Lonergan can get away with that. He rocks his body, but he just the most perfect spiral you've ever seen. So yeah, it's, as I said, and a lot of obviously what I'm saying is so individual. But for me, ideally, I'm not collapsing my body at all. And it's just real rigid. You're locking your core. That way, you minimize where the ball's going to be released, because if you're rocking back and forth a lot of the time, then it changes. So if everything's tight, then it's just that same release point.
Mate, it's so helpful to get these little tidbits around set piece. What's the role of a hooker for you more broadly? Like we see a lot of people talk about hookers as a breakdown option now on the pilfer. They're expected to cover a lot more Ks than they used to. What are your on-field goals when you pull on the jersey as a number 2?
I suppose it just depends on the system of the team and their game plan. Like sometimes you might be in the middle a bit more, other times you might be on the edge, on that 15. And it depends on the set piece play. So there's so many variables. I think my main concern is just trying to be wherever the team needs me to be. So it's whether like something I'm really trying to develop is the pilfer in my game. I think that's a massive work on for me along with my set piece. And yeah, if I can just develop that and just become a not complete player, but just look at it more holistically and just try and bring different strengths to my game. I think that's the most important thing. But yeah, ultimately it's so different depending on what team you're in or what style they play, what your strengths as a player may be. So yeah, it's yeah, for me, I just try and be wherever the team needs me to be. But yeah, you look at someone like Marks, he's just one of the best over the ball. Yeah, we've seen extremely good, strong set piece wise, great around the field. He can do a bit of everything. Same with, well, to be honest, there's so many hookers, particularly internationally, that the complete package that can just do everything. So,
well, that leads me perfectly into what I want to sort of finish on. Like, who are the hookers that you try and model your game off, or the blokes or the ladies in the women's game that set the standard for international hookers at the moment?
well, I think so many of them have different strengths. Like obviously Marks is massive body, extremely good scrummager, set piece, physical, very good over the ball. Dan Sheenan, freak around the field. But I'd say probably the most complete hooker I've come up against would be Cory Toole, in just terms of he's a freak around the field, but his scrummaging's up there with the very, very best of them too. So yeah, for me, he's probably what I would look at as the benchmark. But there's honestly so many just world-class hookers at the moment that are just so good at everything. So it's yeah, it's pretty tough.
No, it's good. There's stacks of them here too, which is a good thing for us as Aussie fans.
Yeah.
Matt, I'll just quickly finish on a little look at the Brumbies for this year. You're around the corner from 50 caps, which has crept up real quick. When I had a look at that, I thought, wow, that's coming around the corner. But as a unit, what are your goals for 2026? We've had a couple of semi-finals, a few close calls. You must be really ambitious as a group this year.
Yeah, everyone's extremely excited. You said it's been 3 or 4 years in a row now, I think. But it's just been made to the semi and not any further. So it's been quite disappointing, and it's fueled a lot of our motivation this pre-season. I think then we came back in. The boys have just been ripping in, and it's at an extremely high level already, probably better than what it's been in the past few years. So it's yeah, really exciting. Obviously, we're missing a few players like Landon Hoops, but and Noah. But it's we have some really good young players coming through that I'm really excited to watch them develop. And, yeah, everyone's there.
That's awesome, mate.
It's really good.
Hey, Billy, thank you so much for your time, mate. It's short and sweet
No
from
worries
me.
at
Hope you don't get too slammed the rest of the day.
No, perfect. Thanks, mate. Thanks.
Cheers. Allan Alaalatoa, thank you so much for jumping on, mate. We had Billy just on before chatting some front row craft, but I reckon you've packed a few more than him. How much are you copping at scrum time from Bill?
Well, mate, first of all, you want a hooker that wants to scrum, and that hasn't been him in a number of years. So I don't know why you asked him for advice, but he's come a long way there, Bill. He's starting to love the scrum, and I thought he had a real good crack last year.
That's awesome, mate. Scrums are such a dark art, sort of forbidden topic. Like, people expect to know what's going on from the couch, covered in beer and Cheeto dust or whatever. But really, we don't know what's going on. So I would love to get a tight head who knows this stuff to chat a bit about what actually goes on. Because from a fan's perspective, we see basically two cars hitting each other. A couple of 16,000 newtons of force. So can you tell me what the pressure, just as a starting point, is like in a super and international scrum at tight head? Like, what are you feeling?
Oh, mate, it's quite intense. It's kind of like a feeling like when you're under a deep squat, and you're trying to hold that tension,
Yeah.
but obviously with a lot more weight. So I feel like if I have to hold my breath for a course of 10 seconds. Otherwise, if I kind of release that tension, then something will go in my body. Whether it's my back or core or something. So you're under a lot of tension. And it's quite intense. So it's you need everyone on board. Like, you need your hooker pushing, your locks behind you pushing, even your flankers, so it's some of your messages that you try and drive throughout the week to make sure that everyone's on board and no one's kind of clocking off, because you just need one bloke in the pack to clock off, and then you'll probably be on your ice skates.
Yeah.
So it's so that's not a good feeling. But yeah, mate, it's kind of like going into a max squat every time. Just trying to turn everything on to keep that tension on.
Jeez, it's like getting crushed basically, which is kind of what's going on. So how do you prepare the body? Like, we see sort of clips that come out on socials from teams of like props and tight heads in particular doing neck exercises, but obviously there's a massive core glute element. Like, what kind of prep goes into preparing for scrums and building the body for scrums?
Yeah, there's a lot. Like, as you said, like, there's neck exercises that you bring into your gym. But there's also, like, you need to be doing back squat, just to load the back. But also, like, you got to have a strong core. So you're trying to do, planks as well, like weighted planks. And then like on top of that, then you add in your repetition at training. So like, the more reps you can get under stress, the better. So whether that's Tuesdays, you're doing lives, and also Thursdays you're doing lives as well. So then you're kind of ready to go for Saturday. But in terms of gym work, yeah, there's a lot there around back squat, neck strength, core strength, but then also flexibility. Like, you need to be really flexible. There might be times where you get caught on the hit, so you're sitting on your heels, and you need to be coming out of that deep squat, because once you take the tension off, if you lift your foot up, you're gone. So if you move your feet, you're gone, and it's just like little ways that you can give the opposition advantage, by releasing that tension. So flexibility is a massive one as well. And then there's that. You need to get your body going and feeling good for the game. So when you're putting your body under stress throughout that week, you need to balance that up with type of recovery and, getting that soft tissue work. So that's why I love the physios here, mate.
Keeping them busy, keeping them employed. That's the gym side. So what's the live side in sessions? Like, for example, like if I'm going down a coaching like school teams in the past, we were taught to like get players warming up sort of 1-on-1, and then you build out a scrum from a front row, or like 2-on-2, 3-on-3, that sort of stuff. How does that prep and I guess that progression look at a Brumbies session?
Yeah, very similar. It's like, when you're going for like a max bench or a max squat, like, you don't go from like one straight to your max weight. It's like you're kind of building up And that's the way that we approach the 8v8s. You go 1v1, you're doing little drills to prime you up, and then you go like a 3v3 while the back row are and the locks are over in the scrum machine doing something there, and then the front row meet together and warm up there, and then you go 4v4. So your props are with your locks, your flankers, and your 8, and you're just going up against each other there, and then you build it up into an 8v8. The first one could be just a fold in, and you're getting the load through the back, so you're not jamming and hitting straight away, but it's just 8v8, fold in, lean in. You can hold it for about 10 or 20 seconds, and then you can start going at it after that. So just more for a safety precaution, like get everything going, your calves, your hips, your back, your core. I think that's probably been the best part. It's changed, throughout my time. Like we used to just put the boots on, do a 1v1, yep, sweet, I'm ready, then just bloody run at each other. But
shoulders warm.
But now, and I think that's probably why I'm still playing right now, it's because of the amount of attention that's brought to the safety for players, and scrum's a massive one to make sure that you're in the best link possible to go into a live scrum.
Okay, so let's talk live scrums then, because we hear this term dark arts and it means nothing to 99% of people. So I say, for example, on your attacking feed, so Brumbies, test, whatever, what's your goal and what are you looking to achieve, like firstly on your hit and then your bind as a tight head?
Yeah, I think, like for us, like we focus a lot on like everything's like a domino, right? So it all stems from what you do at the start, and it's all about setup has to be consistent every time to then be able to win that point of contact, and then to be able to put them on the heels, and then either you go for a penalty or you're in a good position just to feed the scrum. So if you don't have a consistent setup, then you won't get the next step after that in terms of that point of contact and trying to win, that 1 or 2 meters, which then stops you from getting a penalty. So, I think for us, like every time we try problem solve, it's all right. Well, you look at those 3 steps and be like, oh, so what didn't work for us? It's like, oh, we lost a hit, and then we're like, okay, well, how did we look on the setup? And they'd be like, oh, whether it was on the bind, like they were sitting us back on the bind, they were over leaning, but we didn't quite match the lean to get ourselves in a strong position. So those are just like the little things that people talk about dark arts. So those are just the little parts of the dark art that people don't really see. It's just all the technical stuff, that goes into the scrum. And like for a tight end, like the best thing for us is to buy out of the blocks, and then you're putting your opposition pack on their heels, because you can't go anywhere from there. So you're trying to force him into a deep squat and try and catch him there. And then for us to do that, it all stems from the consistency from the start.
So it's like the speed out of the blocks. And so like winning that hit is massive, obviously, for you, just to try and shift the position from sort of like mid-range, just so you've got a bit of an advantage.
Yeah, and like in terms of international footy, like you're not always going to win the hit, but it's about the work that you do post hit. Are you always working in a position? And Lou says, are you hitting, and then if you're stable hit, but are you working like just to get into a stronger position post hit? So it's just all like the little things after the hit that before the ball's fed that you can do a lot. That can really dictate on how the scrum goes.
So on the flip side then, in your defensive scrum, the common terminology is that loose heads and hookers work together to attack the tight head, and that kind of balances itself out. So what are you doing to try and flip the script there when you're on the defensive feed? Like how does a tight head go about trying to disrupt and attack that feed?
Yeah, it's really dependent on sort of what you see throughout the preview. Like you could look and say, oh, yeah, like you can see on the feed, the hooker raises his shoulders to hook the ball. Yep. Which means that for me as a tight end, I'm like, all right, I know that when he's going to hook the ball, he's going to stand up, which means that I can really attack that seam.
Yep.
Which means that the connection between the loose head and the hooker is vulnerable. So I'll see that in the preview, practice that on the field, and then in the game, I know that every defensive scrum, he's going to lift his shoulders, so then I can get underneath him and then really like have that explosive shunt to then try and disrupt the delivery or get a tight end. So, and then you can see little things like preview, like you're looking at the habits of the loose head. Like for myself, it'd be like, oh, his best scrums at the start of the game, but then what happens when he's 30 minutes in, and then you try and look at his technique and being like, oh yeah, he's vulnerable in this position, or when he's caught on or this, or if you put your head here or your binds at this height, So he steps out instead of into the scrum. So those are little things that you see throughout your own individual preview work that I apply throughout my week before heading into a game.
There must be stacks of that sort of footage that you go through every week as props. Like, how much time are you spending on that, sort of heading into a super game?
Oh, there's probably I spend the most time probably watching scrums, yeah, and like the habits of scrum, yeah, more so than anything else, like around like general phase stuff. It's quite simple for a tight end prop. Just be physical and win the collision. You can use your skill every now and then, but yeah, for me, I'm watching a lot of footage around, just trying to watch the loose head, and just see the habits that he has, and the things that he's strong at, but then also try and find these weaknesses as well.
So, like, if you're watching all this footage, and obviously you're playing against these blokes frequently as well, who are the really tough loose heads, particularly that you've come up against that you're like, oh man, this is tough, or like situations where you find yourself as a tight going, like, I'm not moving this guy.
Yeah, I think it's more like the tough pack. So what I've realized is you can be a tough loosehead, but you're no good if your pack's no good. So it's like a lot of the front row are great because of the work that the people do behind them. And you think about when saying that, like teams like probably the Crusaders, their pack is strong in the Super Rugby, and you think about who they have. They've got that Fletcher Newell who's strong. They've got Cody Taylor. They've got Bell as a reserve hooker, and then they've got Bauer as a reserve loosehead, and then you've got Tamati Williams who's a loosehead. So in terms of 80 minutes, they've got a quality scrum for 80 minutes. And you've got pretty much a starting All Black front row there. So like Crusaders are always a great team to go up against, and even the Hurricanes, like they've got a clean system, like Lomax and stuff, or more on Umia as well, loosehead. So yeah, they got a strong front row as well. So I'd probably say those two packs are like probably the most challenging, Super Rugby, and that's probably from the experience in their system, but also the way that they work as a pack, and the experience having time together, both from Super Rugby and international as well.
The Tamati Williams is an interesting one because he's such a tall bloke as well. So, like, if you're packing down against him, he's your loose head. Is it easier or harder to pack against such a tall guy? Because you want to win the speed and the height battle, but he's also got such long levers. So, is there an advantage when it comes to height packing down against a taller loose head?
Yeah, well, I think for me, for me, naturally being taller, you want to try and keep them compact, but the shorter loose heads are the ones where they don't have to move their feet. Someone like Ox, he doesn't even move his feet. He's able to.
He doesn't move.
So he's able to dig out of a bad position. Whereas most loose heads that I've packed against always move their feet on the pine, but he doesn't, and that's just because of his body shape. So yeah, I think there's little tricks that you can use on the taller blokes. But Tamati's like a big lad. He's a heavy bloke as well. So. He's someone that has the ability to play both loosehead and tight head.
That's awesome. Hey, thank you. You've been so generous with your time. I just want to finish. We know that you've had some sort of back concerns that you're managing through 2025. We haven't seen a timeline, but when do you hope to be back and available playing Super Rugby this year?
For me, mate, always hope, sooner the better. But that's just in my eyes. But I have to tick off a few boxes to get there. Because as I said, the back's the main thing that's under stress in a scrum. So you want to make sure that everything is strong and ready to go, for when I'm back.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate having a chance to chat, Allan.
Thanks, bro. Take care. See you, mate.
See ya. Perfect. Mate, Rob Valetini, thanks for jumping on, mate. Firstly, how's the calf holding up after 2025? You're not busting another one this year?
Nah, hopefully not. Had a good break after the spring tour, so and then just been on rehab at the moment. Still my calf extras after every session and stuff. So yeah, hopefully no more injuries.
Looking good. Bit of hot yoga, keep you going. Robbie, as a guy who plays 6 and 8, I'm really keen to talk back row craft. It's something that seems to get lost in the art of people just talking about pilfers or line breakers, this the flashy stuff. But you come in so many shapes and sizes. So what's your goal on field when you pull on a jersey? Like, what do you hope to achieve as a 6'8" back rower on field?
Yeah, I guess for me personally, I think trying to bring that physicality. I guess try to use my size to advantage. Whether that's through the carries or through my tackling. But yeah, I guess just trying to bring physical aspect to the game, and I think that sort of helps out the team as well. If I can be physical and sort of brings energy within the team.
What does a training league look like as loosies? Do you have unit session just as a on-ball unit or a loose forward unit, and what kind of goes on in those?
Yeah, I guess 3 units sort of just as a team, but we have extras after team sessions where you can sort of get your back row together. And you're sort of working on, I guess, kickoff receipts, whether you're catching or you're at the back or lifting. We have poaching skills as well, or tackle tech. But yeah, I think a lot of it, comes down to what you do, in the game. So we sometimes have our sevens sort of ripping the balls out through the mauls and I guess releasing to the nines. So sort of have a lot of things going on towards the back end of the session.
That's good. A lot of the bread and butter that people look at, especially for loosies, is clean out in the ruck contest. That's something that the Brumbies we've seen be massive on, like Laurie, we've got Ben Moen there now, Dan McKellar previously. What does a good clean out look to you as you're approaching? So, like, what are you trying to achieve, and what's your first sort of action when you get to a breakdown to really shift people or create space for others?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, trying to win that height battle, so the shoulder battle. You're trying to get under your opponent, and I guess something that we've been harping on is trying to take that space, and I guess not just stop at the ball, but taking past the breakdown, so that the Lions can have clean balls. So I guess probably your height, and then your targeting, and I guess past the ruck there. So.
Is it a case of like just dominating physically? Like, what's more important? Is it the height or the speed with which you get to the ruck?
I'd say a bit of both, eh? Speed to get there. I think if you get there early enough, you can beat your opponent there, then you've pretty much done most of the work already. So, I think if you can beat the speed, that's probably important. But I guess if they've won the race there, then trying to win your high battle and get them past.
Who are some of the best the ruck clearers? Like, we talk about pilferers a lot, like I sort of said off the top, but blokes that just shift and like create space for you, either that you've played or against. Because there are some people we sort of look at, like I look at a Peter Steph du Toit and go, "Fuck, I do not want to get cleared out by that guy." But like, who are some of the players that you see and you go like, "Wow, they're doing their job really well there"?
Yeah, I would probably say the South African back rows, they're quite tough in that area. Just shoulder first into your ribs, and they're quite strong boys there. But probably someone at the club, probably I'll say like a Rory Scott.
Yep.
It's just an animal, and then someone who can get low and has a lot of power behind him. So I think he does a lot of that. And same as range as well. If you just just have to look at his ears, sort of tell you a story.
I'm surprised he's not copping more after his TARS news, mate. He'd be getting feed at pre-season.
Yeah, I know. We'll get him next year.
He's done you dirty. Yeah, get him next year. Around back rows, you sort of mentioned some soft skills, like off the back of a maul, like feeding your nine, but we've seen more and more forward ball in play sort of out wider. So like the role of a back rower has evolved a lot, at least in the past sort of 15, 20 years. Like, how much do you actually do out wider in those channels now?
Yeah, I think you do a lot. But I guess depending on the team, I guess what the team wants. I think the Browns obviously we've had Pete Samu and Charlie Cale, who they're both fast and got, I guess, soft skills as well on the edge. So I think having them on the edge there, is game changing for us, especially with the skills they have. I think you saw, I think last year or the year before that, when Charlie put that chip through and was able to run through and score against the Rebels. So I guess sort of just listening to your centers and your wingers, what they want there on the edge.
You got some good
But
back rowers
if
there. So is Charlie popping up again? He's been handing me already.
Charlie, Toole is.
Oh, okay, there we go. Well, there's another in there too. And like back row depth is massive. Like what you've got at the Brumbies at the moment, plus those boys. And then you got like, I know Toby McPherson through under 20s is a big lad. Eli Langey's young and raw. Like it must be so competitive in and around that position for Brumbies this year.
Yeah, it has been. I think he's brought up Toby and Eli. Eli came in last year and sort of belted a few blokes last preseason, and we sort of said we should probably bring him in. But yeah, the competition's been pretty heated. We always have our unit sessions, and I guess through our mauls and scrums, and do a bit of our pick D and pick attack. So everything's been pretty heated, and I think the boys are really competing well, which is good. But we're all close off the field, which is good. I think everyone knows we're just out there to do our job, and the competition is rising. So it'll be interesting to see how we go this weekend.
That's exciting. Try footy's always a bit of fun. But like your goals as a Brumbies unit, like I was sort of chatting just before with Billy about that semi-final hurdle and cracking that. Like you must be so ambitious for this group after so many years of being near and nearabouts. What do you think you need to do or change to take that next step to sort of finish in the top two or give yourself the best chance of pushing through into those finals?
Yeah, I'd probably say obviously the semi-finals are a long way away, so I think sort of taking it step by step. But I think as a unit, I think bringing that competitive edge each week. I think come finals time, everything matters, even the little things. So I think the more we can be competitive and I guess take ownership of our own areas, whether that's line out scrums or I guess the back row roles. I think just being on top of that and I think and then bring it together as a unit. I think we'll be better for it, towards the back end of the season.
Looking forward to it, mate. It's just going to be an awesome season ahead. Thank you so much for your time, especially chatting a bit of back row stuff for the blokes like me who know absolutely nothing. Go well 2026, mate.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Tom Wright, thank you so much for jumping on, mate. Firstly, talk to me about the ACL recovery and when Aussie fans might see you back on the paddock in 26.
Yeah, ideally I'm getting a handful of Super Rugby in the back half of the season, which would be unreal. So that's sort of what we're shooting for without sort of putting a stamp on a specific game or date at the minute. Just going through the process of knocking over sort of progression by progression, my return to play. But when I have a date, I'll definitely sort of voice that and put that out there. Not trying to hide anything.
No, it's a tough thing to manage. And I'm really interested at the rehab and the recovery. It's not something that punters will see a lot of. We kind of get the headlines and could miss X amount of time. But what actually sort of goes into it, we've seen clips of you running, but how far along the process are you and what does a rehab day look like for you at the moment?
Yeah, sort of at the moment, probably progressed a fair bit from maybe that footage that was out online around me just doing some straight line running and getting back to some of my speed work and stuff. But progressed to some of probably the most critical part of my game, using like my footwork at speed and change of direction and stuff like that. So progressing really well. But still yet to sort of join the team per se. But that's probably one of those markers I was just touching on a minute ago around. In about a month's time, got a pitch ready test, which is a test that sort of basically gives you the red or green light to return to team training and sort of progress on from there. So, sort of getting ready and sort of reloading my body conditioning wise into being able to be conditioned, I suppose, for lack of a better word, for the sort of the demands of team training, and then again build a base from team training and before sort of rejoining the team for a match.
Mate, if we quickly look back at 2025, like we had a massive super campaign where you're getting involved lots as a playmaker. You roll into the Lions, you get the high of South Africa and Joburg. It must have been pretty bittersweet, sort of feeling that go in Cape Town. How did you kind of deal with that mentally through the back end of 2025 as you watch the boys sort of kick on internationally?
Yeah, it was really difficult. Pretty fortunate. I got a really good support network. We're away from family in Canberra, but obviously we have our own family. So I got Bronte and Indy, my girls at home. We've got another one on the way. So that was one of the joys of, yeah, there's always two sides to the coin. You
Mm.
know, I sort of got kicked in the nuts in the footy world, but not long after sort of getting surgery and being back home, we were able to sort of add another one to our family that'll join us in June. So yeah, it's sort of the world works in funny ways. You know, you sort of get you know shit end of the stick at at one end, and then the other end sort of rewards you with something really awesome. So yeah, I sort of got stuck into training pretty much straight away. You know, the resources that Rugby Australia have landed from Cape Town. Saw the surgeon on the Tuesday, sort of the next morning, being a Tuesday, and then surgery on the Wednesday, and then sort of made my way back to Canberra to our home on the Saturday or the Sunday. So, and then from there it was sort of just how do we get the ball rolling straight away. Yeah, sort of day-to-day rehab, and that sort of progressed now into sort of much longer and much more sort of physical stuff. So, but yeah, really fortunate that a number of guys were sort of in a similar position. Nos Lonergan was a month prior to me, same injury, same type of surgery, being a hamstring graft. So, yeah, we've sort of become a lot closer than what we were previous. We give each other heaps of shit, which is always good. So. Yeah, like it's sort of, 5 months has gone slow to an extent, but there was a period of time where there was no rugby played sort of through the end of November, December, January. So there has been a period of grace where I haven't missed football, if that makes sense. Like, there's been 2.5, 3 months of no football on. So if that can sort of balance out how difficult it was to watch the end of the TRC into the spring tour, yeah, that would be a positive, but it was certainly difficult to be watching from afar and supporting the boys from a helpless position anyway.
Yeah, but so much, as you mentioned, like so much excitement on the family front. It's great news, and it does offset that, and it kind of informs success for this year because you've already had huge wins in your personal life. But what does success look like on field to you in 26? Is it just getting back like a game with the Brumbies? Are you itching for a particular like achievement with this group because it is such a talented group, and you've been there and thereabouts for so long?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as long as I've been here, I think every team that I've been a part of, and it'd be no secret that every team obviously goes into their preseason wanting to win Super Rugby, but it's like you sort of peel the layers back. It's like, yeah, well, obviously we want to win Super Rugby. Like you'd be sort of in the wrong business to be not wanting to win, but it's more about like the how. And again, that's going to sound really like cliche, but that's something that being in the rehab space, but still part of the squad at the minute. You sort of listen to from afar and watch the guys training, and it is like genuinely about the how. So being able to sort of bring in like a number of talented guys from other places and sort of bring up guys from the academy and our extended squad over the last couple of seasons, and getting them up to speed with the way that the Brumbies do things and the way that we want to play the game. That's probably the how that we've been touching on and trying to get guys. No secret that we lost some big shoes last year with, we lose Noah, we lose Lenny, we lose Hoops as three examples. But like an awesome opportunity for young guys to come in and fill that void. Because those three in particular came through the Brumbies system and filled the shoes of someone prior to them. So like that torch just gets passed down, and the job for the guys that have been around for a number of years and seeing that torch get passed, it's like getting guys up to speed. So it's getting Tane and Deck up to speed to be able to sort of steer us around at 10. The same with Hoops leaving. He sort of filled the void of someone like Pete Salmon, who was here for a long time in our back row. So we've got heaps of talented back rows, not long enough for us to talk about because there's seriously so many options for us to go with. Like someone like Charlie comes back this year. So like, where does Charlie fit in? I don't know. Like he's our starting number 8. Like he brings so much to our team. Yeah. So like that'd be sort of what we're sort of focusing on shooting for in terms of instead of just saying win the comp, it's more about the getting guys up to speed so that we can do the things we want to do.
On back rowers, like we had Bobby on just before, and he was saying like young blokes like Toby, Eli came in last year as a teenager and started belting blokes. Like you've got a very good crop coming through there. But around outside backs, like there are so many good young players as well, sort of floating between midfield and wing fullback. I'm talking like Jarrah, Shane, Caden's got one cap. Like, tell me a bit about some of these younger guys, potentially blokes that are, grinding for that 15 jersey as well.
Yeah, I think you touched on a couple of my favorites there. Yeah, young guys who are just so eager and they've come in with like the best mentality possible. Um, Guys that want to come in and just like be a sponge, but at the same time like make their own imprint in their training habits. And when we get out into some more live contact, maybe not Shane so much looking for the contact. He's a bit like me. He wants to sort of avoid it, run around you. But like the other two, they want to meet you physically and they want to take the game to you. More specifically on the outside backs front, obviously Deck has the ability to play at the back there and sort of has a skill set that will offer something really positive to our team in terms of some playmaking, kick, pass, run ability. So, but someone you didn't mention, like Kai Oates, has a skill set really suited to our game. Really, really like light on his feet, ability to break the line, tackles. And then we've got the old bull, Andy Muirhead, like the most reliable guy you'll probably come across in Super Rugby. You don't play 100 Super Rugby games by accident. And I think people maybe they don't forget, but they just skim over his resume in terms of like the skill set that he has, his work ethic, and his desire when he's out there. You never sort of like you. I'm yet to find a game where Andy plays less than a 7.5 out of 10. So Steve has like a plethora of options. He may use a number of them. He may stick with one. I'm not too sure, but like he's definitely been using all three of them in our training, sort of since November or whenever it's been. So it's been awesome to see.
Oh, mate, Muirhead underrated criminally. He's sort of like a fan favorite with our little community we've got going on, but absolute weapon. You've been really generous with your time, Tom. I just want to finish up on the Brumbies and what that community means to you. Like, you're a couple shy of 100 caps. You've started a family down there, and the Brumbies wider community around Canberra, Southern New South Wales, seems really tight-knit as well. So, like, what's special about the Brumbies community as a whole that really sticks with you?
Yeah, it is a funny place. I definitely didn't come down here in 2019 expecting to be here in 2026, 7 and 28. Not because I didn't want to be here, you just don't really know what's around the corner, I've signed like I blinked and I've signed a 2-year deal, a 1-year deal, a 2-year, and a 3-year. So like it goes really quick. But yeah, what it means to me is like it gave me pretty much everything I've got till now. So like Bron and I came down here, she came down and finished her master's degree. I was, throwing the footy around for however long it was until she finished that, and then not long after we started our family, and like it is our home. Like this is where everything that we own is. This is where our dogs are. This is where our daughter was born. This is where our second child will be born. And like some of my best friends now for life are here. Like that it pretty much is the epitome of what the Brumbies has been since its inception. Like people join the Brumbies for the most part from outside of Canberra, and then become really close knit because they come here for like a purpose being football. So, like on a weekly basis, for example, mine, Slips and ours kids, they're all playing, just as one example, but none of us are from Canberra, but all our families are really close because they've sort of all been born into Canberra. So, it's a special place. And yeah, really fortunate to have spent so long here and obviously got a little bit longer to go, but, yeah, it's a special place and it gets pretty cold too. So
I'll bet. Mate, thank you so much again. Really appreciate your time. We hope to see you back on the field ASAP.
appreciate it, fellas. Thanks, lads.
Thanks very much.
See you later.
Cory Toole, thanks for jumping on, mate. The last time I saw you actually was Connolly Park. You were playing for Wagga Waratahs. I was playing for CSU Reddies, and you scored about 4 tries past me. How does it feel still burning blokes at international and super level?
Yeah, I guess it's quite good. It's not too much a change, I guess. It was quite fun back then, playing in Wagga. Yeah, I guess I keep doing my thing and not much these few guys around me taking the piss, but
No, mate, you would have been 16 and you're absolutely flogging us. So I'm not too surprised. But mate, the country pathway is something that really interests a lot of people who sort of look at Australian rugby and go, gee, there's not a massive country representation. So can you tell us a bit about the pathway that you had from Wagga to get through into the super and international arena?
yeah. So I guess I was playing for Wagga Waratahs when I was 17 or 18. And then in that first year in seniors, Suru manager Zach Elliott saw me saw me playing there, and he asked me if I wanted to trial for the under 17s, sevens Brumbies rugby team, and yeah, I was obviously pretty keen to do that when I heard there's an opportunity there, and travelled over to Canberra and tried out for that team, and yeah, I was lucky enough to get asked back to end up being part of the team, and we end up representing the youth sevens team at the national sevens, and then following that, the next year was the schoolboys year. Like it was the same coach that did the sevens, so he asked me if I wanted to trial for that again, and I did, and I was lucky enough to get selected. And yeah, after that tournament, I kind of finished up my school in Wagga, and was weighing out what I wanted to do, and um, I got an opportunity to join the academy in the Brumbies system, and yeah, moved over to Canberra, went to university and joined the academy, and spent about 3 years in the academy, and I wasn't sort of getting a full contract or anything. Just kept working hard, playing club rugby in Canberra, and then COVID sort of happened, and the Olympics were I was at Tokyo Olympics were up and coming, and the main team couldn't compete against anyone before the events, so they had to get some academy players to play against, and I was lucky enough to get selected for that, and played a few games against the team before they headed off to the Olympics, and played all right there, and not really much came from it, and came back to Canberra, then played some club footy here, and then after the Olympics, the Aussie Sevens sort of had a big overhaul in their roster, and I suppose they lost a lot of funding, so a lot of boys left or didn't get re-signed, and that kind of brought an opportunity for me for the next season of sevens to go play in Dubai, and yeah, ever since then I've sort of played sevens for a year, and then ended up getting a contract at the Brumbies, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great, and like I think because it's so hard for people to see the pathway that's actually made. So like, was it common to have kids in Wagga like talking about union or wanting to go through that pathway because it's such a competitive sports town? Like there's so much league, so much Aussie rules. Probably not a heap of people in your position.
Yeah, I guess I played rugby when I was 12, 13, 14, and stopped played AFL for a couple of years because all my mates were.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I kind of enjoyed the rugby side of things, playing the game a little bit more. So I kind of started back playing rugby when I was 17 in seniors. It was quite eye-opening for myself. And I guess you've kind of, when you're around year 11, you kind of want to make rep teams. You kind of aspire to, I guess. And then, yeah, I just wanted to make that schoolboy team, I guess. And then I wasn't really sure of a pathway because there's not too many boys. I probably didn't know anyone that played for the Brumby schoolboys that was come from Wagga. So I probably didn't know too much about it. I was just kind of playing first grade in Wagga, and then yeah, I remember when I got asked to trial for that under 17s 7-a-side rugby. I was quite excited about that opportunity, and I suppose it just kind of had a rolling effect into schoolboys and then the academy, and then some games after that, I guess. But yeah, I guess the pathway's not probably the clearest coming from Wagga, but I got lucky, I guess. I don't know.
It's a good way to go. And look, you've come out all right. You're almost near 50 caps coming off a Wallabies debut season. 2025 must have been massive for you. How do you reflect on that kind of year and ending up over in South Africa on debut?
Yeah, it was a pretty big year. I haven't really probably reflected on it, I guess. It kind of just, there's one thing after the other. We had the British Irish Lions games after Super Rugby, and then yeah, straight into the Rugby Championship. Probably had a week off after that, the British Irish Lions, and then Peachy got a fractured jaw, and yeah, I guess I was playing, so it wasn't too much I was thinking about it. It was just sort of just day by day, week to week. And then yeah, I was lucky enough to play, and then when I was spring through at the end of the year, so yeah, massive year, and I guess I had a little bit of time to reflect in the off season, but yeah, it was a pretty exciting year for myself. Yeah.
Fair bit doing. Brumbies wise, you got stacks of people in those outside backs. It's tough having Wrighty out to begin with. But as far as the younger boys coming through, it's weird to consider that you're a senior player at 25. But like blokes like Caden, Shane, some of these young fellas coming through, it must be a really good competitive environment in that back three position.
Yeah, it definitely is. There's not too many wingers getting around. I think we've only got 4 or 5 in the squad, but
You sorted that.
Yeah, if we have too many injuries, we've got a lot of boys that can play centre. They can play wing that are playing centre, but it's good having those young fellas around. They keep us on our toes. Not that I'm an old boy or anything. It doesn't feel like I am. No, it's good. There's always competition here, and yeah. Hey, Poppy. This guy. Yeah, yeah. What else was I saying?
No, you're a good mate.
No.
Okay, so talk to me a bit about the Brumbies run this year. We've had a fair few years where you've been like near and nearabouts. You're playing away semi-finals, which is always hard. What's the final step that you feel you have to take as a team to get over the line when it comes to these last little bits? Because like you play so well through season, but you always seem to get stuck in third, and it's such a hard run through the Super Rugby finals.
Yeah, I think that's quite important, finishing the top 2. We've fallen short the last couple of years, and maybe one more win could have put us in that second spot, and we might have got a home semi-final, but it's not to be. So I think the biggest improvement this year, I reckon if our worst games are not too far off some of our best games, I think if we can play good consistently throughout the year, I think probably give us the best chance of playing well in the finals and hopefully get a home semi. I think we had a few blowouts last year, some big losses, and I think, yeah, we should have played good week in, week out, and just focus on the next game at hand, and got to just perform consistent, I guess.
No, good stack of wingers going around through Australia too. It seems like it's one of the most saturated areas. Like, who are some of those Aussie wingers that you've played with in Wallabies that you're most looking forward to coming up against through the Super Rugby season?
Pretty keen to come up against Dylan Peach, who's my roomie most of the time in camp. So it'd be good, exciting to come up against him. And I guess Max Jorgensen's always he's a good mate, so it'd be good to go up against him against the Tars. Bit of rivalry there, so exciting.
Who's got it in a 100-meter dash between you and Jorgo?
I'll be pretty close. I might have him over the first 50, and then he might chase me down after in the back 50. I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. Hopefully there's a line break and we can test that out.
I'd love that. Give the people what they want. Hey, Tilly, thank you so much for your time, mate. I won't keep you any longer. Go well for the season ahead. Appreciate your time.
Well, awesome. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
We're not going to France for the croissants.